Skylanders was a fairly big, if brief, part of my life while growing up. I never actually ended up playing Spyro's Adventure until years after it came out. I got Giants one Christmas on my Xbox 360 the year I got Swap Force for my Xbox One. I got the Xbox One the launch year, and I got Swap Force and Just Dance with it. I don't have these versions anymore, but I've been off and on again with Skylanders. But in my most recent need to replay the games, I decided I was going to start a Mega Nuzlocke. Just for reference, I'm playing the Wii version of SSA. I'll get into how this affects the other games when we get there, but let's start with the rules. Rule number 1. If a character dies, they dead. I can't use them ever again. Rule number 2. I must have a Skylander for each of the 10-2 elements in SSA. For this, I've chosen the 8 you can see here. Rule number 3. I can do optional content on a level such as elemental gates, but I am not absolutely required to. Rule number 4. I can change Skylanders at any time unless I'm in the red and in the middle of battle. If I'm flashing red in the middle of battle, I stick with that Skylander until they're dead. Or have healed to get back into the green, either or. Rule number 5. No magic items. Should be understandable enough. It would be a pretty shitty Nuzlocke if I was able to heal constantly. With that over, let's begin. We start our adventure in Skylanders with being told it's this magical place where practically anything can happen, including giant tornadoes that swallow villages. What an opening! We touch down near Flynn and Hugo, both being surprisingly underplayed compared to the future games. Almost as if there was restraint this first time around. I like it. Anyway, I decided to start with the goats of goats, Spyro. Or rather my Series 3 Mega Ram Spyro. And then Hugo tells me he sees me now, and I'm wondering if having the Wii U gamepad so close to me was a good idea. From here, I make my way throughout the level, everybody praising me as I go on from here. As I go through the level, I head into the first elemental gate and grab a hat. I'm going to want to put on more than a few hats if I can. Not too long after, I find myself locked behind a monster gate. And about 3 seconds later, I killed almost everything since my Skylanders are all level 10. Or almost all of them are level 10. 2 more elemental gates later, I'm freeing a royal family from the tornadoes right behind them. Then it's lore dump time. Everything that's happened is because the core team of Skylanders failed to protect the core of light. The goody good that keeps all the meanie darkness at bay, despite never actually being finished. Who attacked it? This little piss baby invaders in. Sorry, I meant Great Matter. Sorry, I meant Chaos. Being this magic old villain, he's able to get a Hydra to blow up the core of light, sending all 32 Skylanders down to Earth. The issue is that only 8 of them have managed to return. Now with the core destroyed, we have to go and pick up Callie, a cat girl who Flynn is into way too much. Once arriving in this area, I'm told to go trigger happy as we get introduced to elemental zones, areas which elemental energies are at their strongest. They also allow Skylanders to be at their peak and have extra damage. Normally I switch out at these elemental zones, but when we take a shortcut right to Callie, I may skip out on one or two. Speaking of stealth bells, thanks to a missing elemental gate, we can take a shortcut right to Callie, get introduced to the worst thing imaginable, turret sections. It's nothing right now, but it becomes a lot worse as Callie sends us to go get a propeller, so that the greatest balloonist in all of Skylanders can fly against the force of a tornado that's ripping a castle apart. To get this propeller, we have to go to a drill fortress, and Callie marks it on a map with a big crayon. Something desperately needed for Flynn since he only sees in crayons, it's great. Once at this fortress, we begin the hatred of the turret segments. Since this game is a Wii game through and through, heck, we've heard as little as 2 months for the programming team to port this game to Xbox 360 and PS3 PC. But since this is a Wii game, it means I can just aim at the screen. But since I don't have a sensor bar, I have to aim at the gamepad, meaning it's awkward as fuck. But it'll be better for reasons we can get into later. Also, here's where I discovered Warnado fucking sucks. But he's the only air Skylander I have for SSA, so I'm gonna have to just deal with it. This is also where we meet Persephone. She has the habit of looking like one of my scripts before I spell check it, or early Gwen 10. Time to get the first eternal source. The magic needed to keep the core of light together. This one's the air source, if you couldn't guess from all the tornadoes we've been casually ignoring. Now we can no longer ignore them. Darn. And instead, we're rebuilding castles to make sure nobody can gather the air source first. And this is where I can say Warnado still sucks. I hope he's the first one to die. But with the source now collected, the reconstruction can begin. And to celebrate, we have some fish and chips. Unfortunately, fish fights back, and we're on our way to go free some fishmen. Alright, starting out, we're in an oil refinery run by Chaos, so we tear it down as it needs to go. And after one heck of a pipe maze, we continue on our journey, and Trigger Happy's gone. Well, first step of the run. Quite sad, but I'll move on from it for now. With Fishman save, we get an oil machine out in the core of light. Hey, that's great! Because good guys can obviously have as much oil as they want, the bad guys just aren't allowed it. We did need the oil to oil up the giant telescope to find the twin spouts we need for the core of light. So, we go and become pirates. It's the logical conclusion if you ask me. In this town, we are pleasantly introduced to the lock puzzle mechanic, and we kill an entire civilization of pirates, and then we'll steal their boat. They probably deserve it. With that down, we go to the Leviathan Lagoon, where I then have to track down some idols and place them on the altar. After some more fucking turrets, we get swallowed by a giant fish. Not much happened this level, but now it's Stealth time, where she continues to pull her weight by destroying the absolute fucking shit out of Kaos' minions. But, despite no deaths, Trigger Happy is yet to be avenged, and the Core of Light needs to be finished and all that stuff thing. So we return to the Core of Light and find a Glamtron, a machine built to make pearls from clams. Instead he makes bombs. Yep, this is a game, alright. We then free digs the mole. Despite being blinder than a bat, we follow him to the Crystallite Castle. Nothing of note happening other than Warrior still fucking sucks. Yeah, he managed to pull his weight when the going got tough. So proud of him. Next is Stonetown. After fighting our way through many different kinds of enemies and going through the town itself, although it's weirdly enough to find an elemental gate, so I don't know what the hell's going on there. The Earth elemental source has come to life, and Stealth makes very quick and short work of it. Once Stealth has killed the magical sentient rock, we take out its heart and throw it into the Core of Light. Quickly avoiding the ramifications of our actions, we move on.
This is where I recognise that this would make for a great episodic TV series. Huh, I wonder if Skylanders has a TV series.
Not 2 seconds later, we find Arbo, son of Barbo, spawn of... yeah, I'm not doing this bit. We take off with the treetops, finding it overrun with lumberjack trolls. Fighting through them and climbing up the trees, we manage to get the seeds of life backs from these brutes. And Stealth once again proves why she's at the top of the box art. Back at the Core of Light, we fight some evil trees and return to the falling forest. The forest falling due to... thanks to... Kaos treating the trees like Hugo treats sheep. Unfortunately, Kaos is to me to act on that fear, to stop, and he starts chopping them down. Using randomly thrown around fireworks, we're able to stop the trolls, and then we hear about the Elder Elementals.
Today there are dozens of brave Skylanders, and in the past, hundreds more. But the most powerful of all Skylanders were the Elder Elementals. These giants possessed powers of light and darkness within their flesh. No one has seen an Elder Elemental in centuries, but there are rumors that they will return someday.
I'm sure that won't be important at all. Anyway, Stealth continues to prove why she's the MVP by single-handedly dealing with all the life minions. Kaos is pissed, but runs away like the little piss baby he is. With the life source now lodged into the Core of Light, it's wartime. We come across General Robot, who talks about knowing about where a golden gear is, and we have to go and collect it because everybody else is stupid except me. Once there, we link up with Snuckles. Thank God he got away from the tornadoes. However, to get the gear, we need to get a map as Snuckles blew himself up not knowing the path. After taking a detour through a maze of doors, we manage to assemble said map, making sure Snuckles isn't blown up this time. We get the golden gear, now all we need is a magical lubricant of the green goo. And to do it, we have to go to an active war zone. All the magic of Skylands is gone. Time to go get PTSD! And this is where Warnado was finally lost. Instead of it being in battle, it was an elemental gate. Sounds like Warnado. After playing Capture the Flag, we have the green goo, only to be thrown back in the middle of war. And this is the exact stage where I can show why the Wii version is better. The ball rolling physics are better in this version. Not the best reason, but it's better than you think, okay? After a boss fight where a Tanker Igniter gets to prove himself, as Stealth doesn't want to fight this time around, we have the Tech Eternal Source. With 3 left to go, we find T-Bone's head in the sand and have to help him reassemble his body. He becomes the best character in the game. After Stealth of course. We head into a hell and fight with the undead to get an ancient mask. I think this is like the first time I've used Cinder in entirely too long. But after a while I switched to Igniter, then Spyro. With the mask we can go get the Eternal Undead Source, except we actually can't because it's just a horrible idea to go rushing in. Instead we go gather the skeleton key, T-Bone running away because of a spider, of course. But with all being said and done, Igniter managed to come in clutch by being able to destroy the zombies, since they can only be killed with fire. And cannons. But it would just be weird for a Skylander to carry out something like a cannon. With the skeleton key, it's time to go to the Cadaverous Crypt. The level's starting to get actually hard now, which is proven when we get to the undead fight, as Cinder comes really close to dying multiple times. Stealth Elf, you have forsaken me, get back out here. But with the undead elemental source being put in its place, we have only 2 left. With 2 left, we're going to free some moles and get the Crucible of Ages. However, to free the moles, we have to blow it up with a bomb and then fight through a ton of enemies. For being a fire stage, this is very lava-less. I like it. With the moles freed, Diggs finds the Crucible, and ruins his leg in the process, so it's up to Bash to push him through the caves. Wants to try to attack us, and I just outrun them. Not the best thing to do, but all the moles are free, so I don't care. Not a few moments after the Crucible has been placed into the Core of Light, Diggs is back to normal, the lying scumbag. And Chaos sent Glimmer Tanks to destroy the tracks in the flaming volcano that leads to the eternal fire source. After pushing some blocks and after killing Glumshanks, it's time for a boss fight, which means it's Stealth Elf time. It starts to look like being a close call, but Stealthy is able to pull through and kill the evil minions. Time to grab the eternal source and head back to the core of light. Now I find an ancient Arkeyan statue. The Arkeyans were an ancient race of robots that once ruled Skylands with an iron fist of Arcus, but that couldn't possibly be important, right? Right. Anyway, we need a special kind of oil, the Quicksilver, and it takes us to the best level in the game, the perfect blend of variety, combat encounters, Spyro death and enemies. Wait, what was that last part? Oh, Spyro's dead! But we must push on. This game may be called Spyro's Adventure, but Stealth Elf is doing almost everything, so it isn't that much of a loss. I especially wouldn't say with the game's dropping him practically immediately in the next game. With the Quicksilver now collected, it's time for the final magic source. The Eternal Magic Source. This one has been lost to the Arkeyans, and since it was under them, they completely forgot about it. But there's one issue. This level is almost entirely one turret section. This is a good and bad thing. It's good since you can't die in turrets unless, say, you just get reset, but it's a turret section, so at this point I'm holding my arm up at the screen for like 20 plus minutes, except from it was more like 5. There's kinda not much else to say other than Cinder being a beast in this level, but with the core of light now reassembled, it's time for the final gauntlet. Just us and Kaos' fortress. Time to bring justice for trigger-happy Spyro and that flying guy. Cinder makes short work of the fortress enemies, and we finally come out of the battle, and you know what time it is? It's time for Stealth Elf to come out. Another reason why Stealth Elf is great is because she can self-heal without needing food. So this boss fight should be easy. So simple enough. Just attack Kaos when he lands. The issue then becomes he sends out minions and his Hydra, the very being that destroyed the core of light. No issue for Stealth. Yeah, she's gone. And so is the rest of my team. Gilgrunt, gone. Cinder, gone. Bash, well, watch for yourself. Kaos has been defeated and sentenced to Africa to be banished from Skylands. We won. The core of light is back in its place, the darkness has gone back to the Darklands. But at what cost? Trigger Happy, Tornado, Spyro, Stealth Elf, Cinder, and Gilgrunt. They're dead, and the only ones remaining are Bash and Igniter. But the day is won, and Skylands is safe once again. Unless... Thank you guys so much for watching. I thought I'd try something different this time around and just have some fun replaying one of my childhood classics. I have no idea when the next ones will be coming out, but I am going through the whole franchise. I only expect the games out can actually give me any kind of serious trouble to be Trap Team and Imaginators, but we can get into that next time. Until then, take care, Portal Masters, and remember to stay safe.